to make a little video just explaining and showing the different rates of tree growth. I know a lot of people are thinking of planting their fields up, and we thought this is a really nice site here where we've got a few different stages. So I'm stood here next to 35-40 foot silver birch, and this was planted about 10 years ago. Now, as you can see, the trees are all different sizes here, and this isn't because they were planted at different times, this is just because of the species. So we've got an oak here, which is the same age as this silver birch, and this is really important to remember. When we're planting up, we want to try and get a diversity of species. So that means we're going to get trees boosting up, like the silver birch and the alder here, and they're going to pull the oaks up. Now, it's really important to have that diversity, because in 50, 60 years, the oaks are going to be bigger, they're going to be starting to shade stuff out, and the silver birch are going to be coming more towards the end of their lives. And they're going to create really, really important habitat because they'll be kind of standing deadwood. So for fungi, living dead biomass, and also for woodpeckers and other sort of grubs that really need standing deadwood, which is something we're lacking in this country. So we're going to go over here. So this is an area that was planted up 10 years ago, and as you can see, the trees are big. It's literally like walking in a woodland. So we're going to go over here and see some trees that were planted up about 5 years ago, and you can see the difference. Come on. So here we are over in another section of the woodland, just outside, and this was planted 5 years ago. So you can really see the difference between the silver birch we stood next to earlier and this one. This has been, last few years, spent getting its roots in, and now it's really about to take off. And we'll see the next, 3, 4, 5 years, it's just going to shoot straight up. And as it does that, the cherries next to us and the alders over here are all going to do the same thing. And this is going to slowly enclose over, and we're going to have, like we had before, this really nice forest kind of canopy walking under. But one thing I didn't mention before, and we'll go back to it after, but I really want to show you, is just what's growing underneath here. So we've got some leaf litter from the trees, and we've got quite a lot of grass. It's not quite as thick as you'd expect out in a field, but very similar. And that's something that's really important for management, and then also as we transition into that forest canopy, is that the grass doesn't really die out, but it just gets overtaken, outcompeted by more shade-loving woodland plants. And it's really nice to see that happening. So we'll go over in a sec and show you what that looks like. So I really wanted to show you here the transition of forest ground cover. So we were out before in the newly planted woodland, and that's very similar to the field. Underground, what's happening is the trees are encouraging more and more mycorrhizae. They're growing hand in hand, and the higher the fungal populations in the soil become and grow, the more these woodland plants are going to transition over. So we're going to see less of the grasses and more of the woodland perennials. So I just wanted to show you the difference here is phenomenal, really, in comparison. This is 10 years this forest has been planted here, and we're looking on, and you can see there's very little grass actually growing. Got a little patch here. There's starting to build up a nice thick leaf layer. So as you can see here, we've got some lovely little ivy heterohelix growing. There's some ranunculus ficaria here, which is a really beautiful little yellow buttercup, and also here you can see some different types of mosses are growing. So this is a really really prominent forest ground cover, shade loving plants, which is very different to the open field grassland that this was 10 years ago. I really hope we've inspired you today to consider planting up any patches of land that you've got. If you are going to be buying trees, the Dingle down in Marshport is a great retail place. They do wholesale and retail, so whether it's for 10, 100 or 200,000, they've got your back covered. When you go down, you're going to be buying whips. So this would have been planted 2 years ago and probably would have been about this big. so a 40 to 60 width, bare root, and now's the time for planting. As the trees are dormant, they can be transplanted without any soil around their roots, and that's what we call bare root. They're much cheaper, much quicker to establish, and so much quicker to plant. So if you are considering, you've probably got another 2 months of the planting season left where we can still get trees in the ground. Otherwise it's going to start up again in December, end of November, December. Planting season starts, and then end of February really we're going to be looking at finishing. So I really hope we have inspired you today. Planting a woodland really is creating a legacy, and it's a legacy that doesn't have to be in the far too distant future. You know, these trees behind me are only 10 years old. Obviously the silver birches are a bit bigger than the oaks, but you still feel like you're walking through a woodland. You're kind of weaving in amongst branches, and we've seen the transition that this has on the ground cover as well. It's totally transformed these fields here. We love them as fields, but we definitely love them more as a forest. So I hope we have inspired you. If you have any questions, please let me know, and we're here to help. Thank you.